Yo, what's good everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be breaking down the Nhl Dfs slate for Thursday, November 3rd. We got ourselves a massive 13-game slate here tonight, where I'm going to go through a couple of my favorite line stacks, some of my favorite individual plays, and some of my favorite value plays, and then we'll wrap up the video talking a little prize picks. With that being said, let's dive into my spreadsheet here. And we're going to kick things off here like we always do in the top left-hand corner with those highest implied game totals. We got one of these games coming in with an implied total of 7 goals between the Devils and Oilers, 5 games coming in at 6.5, and then the other 7 games coming in at 6 goals even. And then take a look there behind me, got the Vegas odds, and you can see every team who's favored to win tonight. With that being said, let's dive into a couple of line stacks that I like here for tonight. Now you might be looking at this and going, okay, 13 different games here tonight, 26 different teams to choose from, a lot of top tier talent at the forward position on this slate. Why are we going with the Minnesota second line and the LA Kings first line? Well, both of these lines here not only have good matchups, but they offer really solid value on a slate where the forwards are very high priced. In fact, this is the highest I've seen them priced all year long. It's probably the most accurate pricing I've seen from DraftKings, but when I started building this spreadsheet here last night, I thought, okay, 13 games, 26 different teams, there's going to be some really nice value on this slate. Turns out that's not really the case. Now, there is obviously some value out there, but a lot of the top tier forwards are very high priced tonight. Hence the reason I ended up going with these two line stacks here. First being that second line for the Minnesota Wild. We got Eriksson Ek centering Shaw and Boldy. Now we've only seen these guys play about 1.5 games together, so a very small sample size. But in that small sample size, they have dominated 5-on-5 with an 87.5% expected goals percentage. Now, that number there is likely unsustainable going forward, but if they can even play remotely close to that good here tonight, I do like the matchup at home against the Seattle Kraken, who have allowed 3.5 goals per game so far this year and have one of the worst penalty kills in the NHL. In fact, the 4th worst, that's hit at just a 70.3% rate. We're going to see Eriksson Ek and Boldy play up on the number 1 power play, and while Shaw doesn't have a solidified role on the number 2 power play, he has played there in each of the last 2 games and a very cheap price tag of $3,000. Now with this next line stack here, the first line for the LA Kings, there is definitely value with these 3 guys. Kopitar centering Kempe and Velarde. These 3 play big minutes together 5-on-5. All 3 play up on the number 1 power play and have combined for 7 goals, 6 assists, 13 points in their last 5 games. Not crazy high numbers by any means, but these guys can definitely get on the score sheet, find the back of the net, and even have a multiple point game, especially in a matchup like this against Chicago, who has not been very good this year and have one of the worst penalty kills in the NHL that have hit at just a 74.5% rate. And the nice thing about that is we should see these guys on the power play quite frequently here tonight, as Chicago takes about 4.7 minor penalties per game. Now folks, before we dive into some of my favorite individual plays here, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. I'm gonna have hockey content coming out for you guys all year long. For those of you who are on Discord, don't be afraid to join my channel as well. Link in the description below. We got a bunch of people in there talking hockey and football. And for those of you who are on Twitter, I have been posting some bets on there as well on the NHL side, if you want to give that a follow. Alright, now diving into some of these individual plays here, we're going to kick it off with the forwards, and like I said, there's a lot of top tier talent on this slate at the forward position. We got guys like McDavid, Draisaitl, Pastrnak, Kirill Kaprizov, the list goes on, but I like the price here for Alex Ovechkin of the Washington Capitals at $7,400, especially in this matchup against the Detroit Red Wings, who have started to slump here a little bit over their past 5 games, allowing 4.20 goals per game, and have had one of the league's worst penalty kills, just hitting at a 64.7% rate, and we all know that Ovechkin thrives on the power play, so we can hope the Caps get there a few times tonight. Ovi's got 3 goals here in his past 5 games with 21 shots on net. It seems like he's due for a multiple point game or a multiple goal game at that. and I like the matchup for him to do that against Detroit. Now, speaking of forwards who are due for a multiple point or a multiple goal game, look no further than Kyle Connor. He's only got 1 goal, 3 assists, 4 points through 9 games this year, but leads the entire Winnipeg Jets team with 5.1 expected goals, leads the team in shot attempts and shots on goal. This guy is getting the puck to the net. He's a guy who can go for 40 plus goals in a season. He just hasn't been able to find the back of the net much this year. It seems like he's due, though, and I hate to roll with that narrative, but when you're shooting the puck like he has and you have that many expected goals, they're going to start coming sooner than later, and he's got a good matchup at home here tonight against the Montreal Canadiens. Now, one guy who was on the positive side of regression last game, like we're hoping for Kyle Connor and Alex Ovechkin, was Timo Meier of the San Jose Sharks. Now, one of the goals that he scored, he didn't actually score. Anaheim scored on their own net, and it wasn't just a fluke goal. I mean, Silverberg ripped that shot into the back of his own goal. If you haven't watched it, you'll have to go watch it. It's pretty funny, actually. But Timo Meier, like I said, positive regression was coming his way. He leads the entire NHL with shots on goal and shot attempts. He finally scored 2 goals last game, put up 33.5 DraftKings points. That's the upside you get out of a guy like Timo Meier. And I still like the price here. He should easily be priced in the 7K range, so I'll take advantage of the discount here, because if he keeps shooting the puck like he has been, and if he keeps finding the back of the net like he did last game, his price is only going to go up going forward. I then got Tyler Toffoli there of the Calgary Flames, who's been off to a solid start this year, playing very consistently on that second line and up on the number 1 power play. He's now got 4 goals, 3 assists, 7 points in 8 games, and I really like the way he's been shooting the puck, averaging around 3.5 shots on net per game, and definitely someone who can go for 5+ in a game, getting you that 3-point DraftKings bonus. And I like the matchup at home here tonight against the Nashville Predators, who haven't been the best defensively this year, allowing 3.5 goals per game, the 10th most in the NHL. Next, I got JT Miller there of the Vancouver Canucks. Now, this is definitely one forward who's offering value tonight. I talked about him the other day when he was in the 4K range, significantly too cheap. Now he's creeped up here into the low 5K range, but I don't think it's going to be long before he's in the 6K range or even the 7K range like he was towards the end of last year. He's got 3 goals, 3 assists, 6 points in his last 4 games, playing up on that first line, playing on that number 1 power play, in a great matchup at home here tonight against one of the worst teams in the NHL, the Anaheim Ducks, who have allowed 4.30 goals per game this year and have the 2nd worst penalty kill in the league that is hit at just a 64% rate. And I also think that Clayton Keller is offering a little value here tonight as well in the 4K range, because there's not a lot of forwards in the 4K range that I'm in love with. He obviously plays for one of the worst teams in the NHL, and I never find that super attractive, but Clayton Keller is still a really good hockey player. 3 goals, 7 assists, 10 points now in 9 games. The fact that he can even manage a point per game on this Coyotes team is worth acknowledging, and I don't even mind the matchup at home here tonight against Dallas Stars. Now, Dallas has looked solid this year, but their best goaltender in Jake Ottinger is not going to play here tonight, which leaves them with Scott Wedgwood, who has not been very good in the net this year. I know he was good last game, but prior to that, this is a guy who's definitely beatable, and I like the numbers that Keller is putting up, especially at this price. Now, moving over here to the defensemen, and I likely will be spending down at this position here tonight, but the heater that Erik Karlsson is on, I have no problem spending up for him. And just his last 3 games, he has 6 goals, 3 assists, 17 shots on net, hitting 27.5, 35, and 47 DraftKings points. Now, these numbers are obviously unsustainable, but when you're hot, you're hot, and Erik Karlsson is playing like one of the best defensemen in the league right now, logging about 24+ minutes per night, plays on the number 1 power play, and plays on the penalty kill too. Plus, this Florida team, not afraid to take penalties. They have the 2nd most in the NHL with 53 through 10 games, essentially averaging 5.3 minor penalties per game. Now, I'm hoping that the Vancouver Canucks can get on the power play here tonight as well. That's why I like Quinn Hughes. I just talked about how good of a matchup it is at home tonight for the Vancouver Canucks against the Anaheim Ducks, who are one of the worst defensive teams in the NHL, haven't gotten good goaltending, and have one of the league's worst penalty kills. And I know this is a small sample size, but the Vancouver Canucks power play has been hot as of late, scoring at a 54% rate in their last 4 games. So should they be able to get on the PP here tonight and continue that success, could be a very good night for that number 1 power play out of Vancouver. I then got Hampus Lindholm there of the Boston Bruins, and surprisingly, he's priced at $4,400. I would have thought after last game he would have been priced in the low $5K range, and albeit a tougher matchup on the road tonight against the New York Rangers, I'd still play him at this price. I think he's offering some nice value. He's got 3 goals, 8 assists, 11 points in 10 games this year, playing about 25 plus minutes per night. Played 29 minutes last game against Pittsburgh, and getting time on the number 1 power play on top of the penalty kill. And even though this is a tough road matchup against the Rangers, Bruins got a lot of firepower on that number 1 power play, which is scored at a 33.3% rate here in their last 4 games. And then it's the same song and dance that I preached the other day with Noah Hanifin. He has yet to have a big game this year. He did have 4 shots on net last game, so I like that he's shooting the puck like that, playing on the number 2 power play, playing on the penalty kill, gets 20 plus minutes per night. He gets everything you're looking for out of defensemen, especially priced at $3,300. And this is a guy who floated in the upper 4K range, low 5K range towards the end of last year. So yeah, he has not had a big game this year. I understand that. Hasn't even hit double-digit DraftKings points, and you know that's what I'm chasing when I play guys in the 2 to 3K range. But I want to get ahead of this play before he does have a big game, because I believe it's coming sooner than later. Now, I know most of you know this, those of you who have been watching my NHL videos, but I'll reiterate it considering it is such a big slate here tonight. I always got some honorable mentions on the defensive side of things in the notes off to the right-hand side. Guys in the 2 to 3K range that I think are offering some solid value. Being that the forwards are very high-priced here tonight, outside of Erik Karlsson, I don't know if I'll be spending up at the defensive position, and I'll be looking to spend down. And then I got a few goaltenders listed here today. You guys know I notoriously list 2, but being that it is a 13-game slate, 26 different goalies to choose from, I figured I'd add one to the spreadsheet here today. If I'm going to spend up, I like Connor Hellebuyck of the Winnipeg Jets. Been very solid this year and has a good matchup at home tonight against the Montreal Canadiens. He's got a goals allowed average of 2.41, save percentage of .931, and 7.4 goals save above expected, which is the 3rd best in the NHL. Now, if I want to spend down here tonight, I think 2 goalies are offering some really nice value. First being Linus Ullmark, the other being Ilya Sorokin. Now, they do play on the road here tonight, so I don't necessarily love that, but I really do like their prices, especially considering how well they've played this year. Ullmark here has a goals allowed average of 2.19, save percentage of .932, and 4.8 goals save above expected, 11th best in the NHL. Sorokin here has been even better, a goals allowed average of 2.04, save percentage of .935, and 6.9 goals save above expected, the 4th best in the NHL. And as always, going to wrap up the spreadsheet here with 3 low-priced options or sub-4K forward plays. First guy I got there is Evgeny Kuznetsov of the Washington Capitals. Was finally reunited on that first line in number 1 power play with Alex Ovechkin last game. I really like to see that. He was down playing on the second line. Ovi was playing with Dylan Strome. Just really didn't make sense to me. Now you got the 2 Russians who are back together. Kuznetsov very cheap here at $3,800, again in a good matchup against the Detroit Red Wings. Next is Igor Sharangovich there of the New Jersey Devils, currently playing on the 3rd line in number 2 power play, but logging solid minutes, playing about 15, 16 plus minutes per night. He's got 3 goals, 3 assists, 6 points through 10 games, including 12 plus DraftKings points in 5 of those games. And then I got William Karlsson there of the Vegas Golden Knights, currently playing on that second line with his old line mates in Riley Smith and Jonathan Marchessault. So a lot of chemistry between those 3. He's going to play on that number 2 power play as well. He's got 4 goals, 4 assists, 8 points through 11 games, including 13 plus DraftKings points in 5 of those games. So just like Sharangovich, 2 guys here in the 3K range that can definitely crush their value and get you 15, 20 plus DraftKings points. And then to wrap up this video here, want to talk a little prize picks with you guys. As I record this morning, they only have props out for 4 of the 13 games, so obviously I'm going to wait for the rest of these picks to come out before I give you my favorite picks, just like we did all of last year, just like we did to start this year. I'll let you know those picks in a comment below, and I'll be sure to pin that comment as well. Now, for those of you who have not signed up for prize picks yet, but are interested in getting in on this action, I got a promo code that you should definitely take advantage of. When you're signing up, use my promo code GRIFF. GRIFF, and Prizepicks will give you all the way up to a $100 match deposit. Now, you don't have to put $100 in. You want to put in 50, they'll match 50. You want to put in 20, they'll match 20. They will match anything up to $100. Again, as long as you're using my promo code GRIFF, GRIFF, upon signing up. Alright everyone, that is going to wrap up this video here for today. As always, thank y'all for taking the time out of your day to watch the content here on this channel. If you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Let's have ourselves a great day here, folks. Let's win some money on this big slate here tonight. In the meantime, I'm out of here.